Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series. Hey guys, it's Adam here and welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for the month of April 2015. And as per usual, I'm going to show you guys some of the stuff I've already shown you. But I gotta warn you, this month's PlayLoad is going to be a little weird because I spent the bulk of my gaming budget on basically just 3 things. But some of those things came with other little extras, and I did pick up some other stuff, and I did get some freebies, which I'll show you towards the end. So yeah, stay tuned. Now first up is this. This is Spider-Man, the Web of Fire for the Sega 32X. Alright, so I recently completed my 4th video game generation retrospective series, and one of those videos was about the Sega 32X, even though, yes, I know it's an add-on. Now this I basically just bought for that series, but this was a good deal for this game. Now this game is extraordinarily rare. It was the last Sega 32X game ever released, and if you believe the story, there were only 1,200 copies ever released. Now I have a hard time necessarily buying that number, because I see it often enough on eBay that I don't know, it's hard for me to believe it's that rare, but it is an uncommon game nevertheless. Usually sells for about 400, 350 low end. I got mine for 200. Now 200 is a stupid amount of money to pay for a video game, I completely agree. Especially a very bad video game like this one. But like I said, very uncommon game, and I mean, that was a steal for this game. I know that's a lot of money, I know, but for this game, that's a lot of money, so yeah, very happy to have it because it's an extraordinarily uncommon game, and I put it in this nice plastic case. But like I said, it's not a good game. I mean, I've played it on EverDrives and stuff. I even played this actual cart for a bit just to make sure it worked and everything. Not a good game, but nevertheless, very happy to have it. And for those same reasons, I picked up this. This is Zelda's Adventure for the Philips CDI. Again, talked about this in the CDI video. There were 3 Zelda games on that console, and they're all pretty bad. This is generally considered the best of the 3, but it's still not a particularly good game. Yeah, but it's also extraordinarily expensive. Usually selling around $500 or so. This one I got for 200. 200 was kind of a magic number this month. I got this from France via eBay. Now, the cool thing about that is, like I said, it usually sells for way more, so it was already a pretty good deal on the game, all things considered. But also the seller contacted me after the auction, and he basically said, like, look, I wasn't expecting someone in America to buy this, so I want it to get there right away. I don't want it to be stuck in customs or anything, because it's a very uncommon, very rare item. And so he said, I decided on my own to just go ahead and pay for overnight shipping. He ended up paying something like 50 fucking euros to send this like overnight, but it did. So yeah, it got here like right away, and it's in immaculate condition. It's absolutely great. So I of course thanked him for that because it was really cool of him to do. So all things considered, man, not a bad deal. A lot cheaper than usual and really, really quick shipping. So yeah, very cool to have this, even though I know the game sucks. And finally, of those 3 major purchases, there was this. This is the Satele of You. This is, again, I talked about this in the Super Nintendo video. This was an add-on for the Super Famicom, aka the Japanese Super Nintendo, that gave you like all sorts of online capabilities. Granted, they were different than what we think of them now. You would have seen it in the video with the Super Famicom on top. This is, of course, without it. You can see here, we take this off. This is like where a modem thing goes, which I actually don't have. Not that it even matters, because it doesn't do anything today. It's basically a big hunk of plastic. If it has any other features left that I don't know about, please tell me. But as far as I know, it's basically just a hunk of plastic that doesn't really do anything anymore. So I know that's a lot of money to spend on something dumb, which I did. I really only bought this for the video. That's all I did it for. So again, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope you share it around, because like I said, it was not fun to buy, but it did come with some other things. One of them, of course, was BSX, which is basically the operating system software. It's a game, a Super Famicom game with obviously a unique shape. And the way this would work is that you had a little character in this like town you would play as, and I talked a lot about it in that video. But there's a cartridge slot up here. And this was like for these little memory card things, and you could download data and store it that way. Now, I don't have any of those memory card things. When I bought this, though, it came with some other items. One of them was this. This is, I believe it's called Music Maker Play. Yeah, I wrote the name on the side. And painter's tape. I recommend painter's tape for end labels on games, just because it's easily removed. But anyway, Yeah, so there were certain games for the Super Famicom that were like this, where they would work as just normal games on a Super Famicom, but because of the unique shape, and they could take advantage of the Satele of You in extra ways if you had it, which I didn't mention in that video and I should have. I don't know what this particular game did, but I have another game called like Derby Stallion 96, which is like a horse racing game, that again would work on a Super Famicom, but if you had the Satele of You, you could connect online and you could like follow. It's a horse racing game. You could simulate horse races that were actually going on in Japan. You could actually listen to the horse races as they were going and follow them that way. You know, just weird kind of online bonus features that some of these games would have. But it also came with 3 regular Super Famicom games: Mario and Wario, Zico Soccer, and Breath of Fire 2, which was neat to have because I actually don't have any other Super Famicom games, which is, I know, it's kind of odd. I don't think there's anything special about any of these particular ones. I think these all got Western releases as well. But nevertheless, it's cool to just, you know, have them because they're a pretty cool looking cartridge and everything. So there you go, that came with it. And also, it came with a Super Famicom, which is nice. I got a few of these now. This one is really yellowed, as you can see. So aesthetically, it's not the best. I mean, it's got fading on the wording there, but it works like a charm. There's nothing wrong with it at all. So that's really nice. So I was actually thinking maybe I could make the best out of this and de-yellow it. So this yellowing that happens, I did a video about that a while ago. You can remove that. You can fix it and make it look normal again, but the procedure is rather complicated. It takes time and a lot of ingredients and stuff. But I've been made aware of a more efficient method that's easier. However, I've never done it myself. So what I'm thinking is maybe I'll make the best out of this, get some of that stuff, and try that in a video and tell you guys and show you guys the results, basically. Would you guys be interested in seeing that? If so, maybe I'll do that. If not, maybe I won't. I don't know. But you guys let me know. Either way, got another Super Famicom on my hands, which is pretty cool. It's a funny thing, guys. I now have 3 Super Famicoms. Granted, this one was completely unintentional. The other 2 were. But yeah, that's nice. And I only have 3 conventional Super Famicom games. So weird, I know. Now that was like I said, basically the bulk of my gaming budget was just spent on this stuff right here. But there was some other stuff I really couldn't pass on, so I kind of dug deep. As I mentioned before, last month, Wii U stuff. It is being phased out in a lot of stores. A lot of retailers like Target, Best Buy, Walmart, Toys R Us, etc. are all basically cleansing their inventory for pretty cheap. And I think that at some point the Wii U is going to be like the Dreamcast or the Saturn, in that people really want to get full sets of it, but the games are going to be really hard to find. So I'm kind of jumping the gun early right now because, frankly, a lot of the stuff is really cheap right now. And so here are the ones that I managed to track down in different places. This is Rapala Pro Bass Fishing. This game sucks ass. We played it for a while on my other channel, Game Society Pimps, which I'll put a link to there. We haven't released the video yet, but it's a video that will feature Greg Benson. He's a guy who runs Mediocre Films. Some of you might know about that. He flew into town, and one of the things we did while he was here was that he played this with us, and yeah, this game sucks ass, so look forward to that video. I picked up Watch Dogs. I believe this is like, yeah, this was like 15 bucks with Gamers Club Unlocked over at Best Buy. So not a very good version of the game, but it's good that it exists nevertheless. Madden NFL 13. The only football game on the console. How nice is that? We don't get a shit ton of shitty-ass sports games on there. I do like that. That is a plus when a console is not doing well. That in the case of the Wii U, it doesn't really get sports games. So that's nice because you don't have to run around and collect them. But there are just a couple that you have to get out of the way. And this one I got at a Toys R Us. Toys R Us has a really, they don't know how to do video games. They have a really weird way about it. You know, a game will come out, they'll charge normal retail price, whatever, that's fine. But they also have like a system in place for buy one, get one 50% off if games are within a certain price range. But there are a lot of games that do not apply to that. And rather than like stick labels all over which ones do and do not apply, they just decided to slap a pre-owned sticker on everything that doesn't apply, even though the game isn't pre-owned. I know. How weird is that? So in this case, this game was labeled pre-owned, but trust me, it wasn't. It was factory sealed. They had a bunch of them. I have a hard time believing that someone went in and traded 10 copies of Madden 13 for the Wii U. I don't believe it. So yeah, it was factory sealed. Still had this underneath all that, like the NFL logo. So yeah, it was factory sealed. They just do that so that they can disqualify certain games from those that 50% off thing. Odd, but that's what they do. Also picked up the Smurfs 2. Yep. ESPN Sports Connection, also a sports game, of course, but a very different one. Transformers Rise of the Dark Spark. This one was good to get because this is kind of a rarer game for the Wii U. Not like a rarer game, but less common. The way I got this was Best Buy charges $15 for this game, at least at the time I make this. But it's impossible to find. I've looked at their website, doesn't have it. Every store I've went to, they don't have it. They all just say it's out of stock, but it's on sale if you do find it. So what I did was I went over to Toys R Us, where I got this, and they price match. They had this game in stock, so I said, Best Buy's charging $15. I showed them the thing. They're like, you're right. And so they just knocked it down to $15. So price matching, good way to get certain rarer games. Then there was Target. Target had a big Wii U clearance for mostly $10 a piece. Well, all the next ones were $10 except for one of them, which was $8. Need for Speed Most Wanted U, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed, Game & Wario, and this one was really surprising to see because stuff developed by Nintendo doesn't usually get into the clearance bins, but this one did. Game Party Champions, this one was the $8 one, and Just Dance 2014. So that was my Wii U pickups for the month, and I'm pretty happy about that. I also got the Order 1886. Now, I didn't buy this, so here's the deal with this. I don't know how many of you guys follow Review Tech USA on YouTube. He and I did like a podcast, like a 90-minute long video together. I'll link it there. You can check it out. Where we just bullshit about video games, basically. And after it was over, he was telling me that he was going to sell one of his PS4s because he's got a few of them. And he said, if you want it, I'll hook you up. Here's what I'll offer you, and it'll come with this amount of stuff. And I didn't really need it because I have one, but I knew a buddy that did, and for that rate, he didn't want to pass on it. So long story short, out of all of that, I got to keep the Order 1886 as a freebie, so that was pretty neat. Next up is this. This is a Japanese Nintendo DS game that I cannot remember the name to. I will put it up there on the screen, you can see it. And no, it's not called Sound Communication System. The story with this was I was contacted by a guy named Daniel. Now, he said he used to live in Israel, but he moved to the US, and as a result, he had a bunch of import games that he didn't really want. So he contacted me saying, like, hey, you might want this, or possibly, Mrs. Claus. Mrs. Claus is my girlfriend. I don't know if you guys know this. I mean, she's been in a few of my videos over the last few months. And cheap shout out to her. She has her own channel. Go check her out. She does videos. Yay. Anyway, so she doesn't have that many games. And unfortunately for me, she lives in Portugal, which is, of course, in Europe. So I actually don't get to see her that often. I don't know how many of you guys know that or not. But anyway, long story short, as a result of all this, he said, why don't we just go ahead and ship a lot of that stuff to Mrs. Claus? And the only thing I ended up keeping out of all that was this, because Mrs. Claus does not have a Nintendo DS. So thank you to Daniel for hooking me up with that, and thank you for giving me stuff that I can give to Mrs. Claus. Also got a package here. This came from a guy named Kevin Mead. Now, he contacted me and just said, like, hey, I got something, and I want to send it to you. So let me, sorry about the jump cut. It was just taking a while. But there it is. This is what we got. We got Spawn in the Demon's Hands, the Japanese version for the Sega Dreamcast. Now, I actually have the North American version of this game, but I didn't have the Japanese version. He was cool enough to just go ahead and send this over, which is really nice of him to do. He obviously didn't have to. Neither did Daniel, of course. Now, the truth is, I don't know much about this game, at least as far as versions go. That's something I've never really paid much attention to, is like what would be different in the Japanese version of a game as opposed to the American version, other than the obvious regarding language. So if anybody actually knows if there's any gameplay differences, let me know. I'd be very curious. But regardless, thank you for that, Kevin. You really didn't have to do that. Next up, we got this, the Golden Mario Amiibo. Now, I want to make this very clear. I do not collect Amiibos. The only one I have is the Sonic Amiibo, and that was the only one I really cared about, and because I like Sonic, not so much because I care about Amiibos. So why do I have this? Well, so what happened was I do a podcast on my other channel, Game Society Pimps, and one of the news stories we were talking about was the Golden Mario Amiibo before it got released. And I guess one of our viewers saw it. His name is Blue Jane Games. He saw that and then was in a Walmart where these are exclusively sold, and actually found it. He picked it up, and then he contacted me and was like, hey, I was thinking about donating this to your channel. Would you guys like it? And I accepted because I thought this would be a really good item for something we're going to do soon. I'll just tell you because I already announced it on the other channel anyway. Last year, I know this is a bit of a sidetrack, but last year we did a series called the Mario Kart Playoffs, where we played the 5 primary versions, the 5 console versions of Mario Kart. and did a best of 5 series to see who was a better Mario Kart player out of my 2 cohorts. And the winner got a trophy. Now this year we're not doing that because Nintendo likes to go after game footage now. So we're going to do the Mario-less Kart playoffs, where we got a bunch of clone games, for example that one. And the trophy will be this, which I think is a good reminder, a good way of saying fuck you to Nintendo for not letting you do that. So really, it's all it's going to be in the end is just a trophy thing, which I think is pretty neat. And now finally, we have this. This is a big ass package that came from a guy named David. He told me he was currently living in Germany. He's stationed on a base there. He's in the U.S. military, I believe, and he had limited space in his apartment, and decided there was this one particular item he thought would make sense in my hands, and I said, okay, if you're sure. So we went ahead and shipped it out. Sorry about the jump cut there, but yeah, let's do this. Inside, we have a letter, which I'm betting he would not want me to read, so I will not do that, at least on camera. But let's see inside here. We got, of course, wrapping. We have the main piece, which I will move out of the way here. And this, which will give you a big clue. Sorry about the jump cut again, but there you go, that's what it is. This is a Magnavox Odyssey 2000. What this is actually the first and only first-generation game console that I have. I know, I had no first-generation game consoles other than this. The reason for that is that almost all of them are Pong clones. What this is it just plays Pong. There's no other games. It's not capable of playing any others. And most consoles in that generation, that's all they could do. This was actually, it's really cool that he sent me this. As you can see, it uses this RF box, and it has this really weird adapter. It runs off of batteries. It does have a power supply, but he didn't have it, and therefore I don't have it. So I would have to use like 9-volt batteries on this thing. Very bizarre machine. But it's very cool because it means that if I ever do some sort of first generation video, at least I'll have one thing to be able to talk about. So that was really, really nice of him to send over to me. He really did not have to do that. And so thank you, David, for that. That was really very cool. And I want to thank, of course, Kevin and Blue Jane Games and Daniel and even Rich, for coming up with that. That was really nice of them. And thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all later.